were never such devoted sisters.
An ancient Greek tragedy is hitting the stage on January 19th at the St. Catherine's First Performing Arts Center.
The Bacchae is an adaptation of an ancient play from Greece by Euripides. It was written originally in 405 BC, so it's pretty old. But we picked it over 2 years ago. We wanted to do an adaptation of it because we found its themes to be incredibly relevant to what we were seeing kicking around in our present-day political spheres. It's about a polarized society. There's an authoritarian, very conservative King Pentheus.
My grandmother Harmonia has been called the mother of this city, and today its citizens showered her with the affection of many grateful children.
And on the other side, there's the new god Dionysus, who's this sort of anarchic creative spirit.
God among various things of wine, fertility, theater, and in his spare time, madness.
We started working on this before we realized how relevant it was going to be. And it became, as Brexit and Donald Trump and all kinds of populist alternative movements started to sweep the world, that was something that was happening as we were creating our adaptation. And so we've found it to be maybe more relevant than we wanted it to be. But it's also relevant for other reasons that, like, surprisingly eerie relevance. That the god Dionysus is androgynous. He's breaking down norms of gender and sexuality. He is being surrounded by the women of the city who are abandoning their homes to go engage in Bacchic revels, abandoning traditional gender norms. He is arriving as a foreigner. He's changing the religious spectrum of the culture. And we were reading it, and some of the lines looked like they could be headlines from today's newspaper. And at times we actually sort of had to tone it down a bit because it looked like it was sort of shouting at us. So it's been, as I say, more relevant than we planned on it being when we started out.
I mean, everyone's afraid of the old man, but honestly, someone needs to raise some questions about his style. But over time, I suppose in preparation it was sort of looking to queer figures that I could pull source information from, primarily because Dionysus he exudes a sort of gender fluidity and kind of embraces, the lack of roles and living outside of the border, if you will. The once cohesive society begins to divide into the wealthy city core and the run-down fringe districts that surround it. In practically the same breath, the new aforementioned god, Dionysus, is worshipped widely by many major neighbors, but is flatly rejected here.
I think this show is becoming more and more desperately relevant. We started working on it about 2 years ago, and we knew that there was something about this that was in the air, and Colin, our director, talked a lot about his interest in the relation between city cores and fringes and how cities develop and how ideologies create citizenship.
And I understand that this production also marks a significant milestone for this ensemble. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've been an emerging artist company in St. Catherine's. We're almost entirely comprised of Brock graduates, and we've been building up for a number of years. We do long-term training in creation in St. Catherine's. And after a handful of productions, this is our first chance to be presented by the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre, which is this marvelous, huge new performing arts centre that's really lit up downtown St. Catherine's. So it's a big milestone for us as the whole cultural community elevates to a new level. But for us, it's a little surreal. We never anticipated having this kind of opportunity when we started doing the work that we were doing.
Show dates for the Bacchae are January 19th to 21st. Tickets can be purchased at the box office or online at firstontariopac.ca. For The Source, I'm Melissa Andrade.